Hello La Pluma students and welcome to a new art lesson. This week we are going to be learning how to draw this landscape that has a rushing waterfall, and it also has the Big Dipper up here. The Big Dipper is a group of stars that kind of looks like a shovel or a plow, and it is 7 bright stars, so 4 make up this bowl part and then 3 make up the handle. So it's a very popular group of stars. It's part of a bigger constellation called Ursa Major. Let's get started. We are going to start with this waterfall right here. And so not exactly in the middle of your paper, but over a little bit to the right, we are going to do kind of a hook shape or like a backwards candy cane. That is this part of the waterfall, this front curving line. And then on the other side, we're going to do a straight vertical line coming down. That's the right side of the waterfall there. Below the waterfall, we're going to do all this big foaming water that's rushing up like in a big wave or a cloud. So at the bottom of our little shape that we just drew, we're going to do some bumps. And they can be different sizes, but kind of like the letter M, how you do those bumps on the letter M, we're just doing little rainbow lines. And then I'm going to come back to that later, but that's the start of our waterfall. Let's add some lines inside of our waterfall to show the movement of the water. So just a curved line that kind of follows this outside curve. And I'm going to do a straight line there. Another curved line starting at the top. And one in the middle. These don't have to be in the exact same places. You can do your lines in different places, but what we want to show is this vertical movement of water spilling over this edge of the rocky cliff. And I'm going to do some dots to show the mist that kind of comes up after the water splashes on the ground or the rocks or the water. All right, I think that looks great. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is these rocky ledges. So these are just little zigzag lines, and they're like the letter W, but they can go really any way you want because rocks can be any direction and they can be sticking out any which way. So we're going to just do zigzags off to the right side of the page, and then from the left side of the waterfall, same thing, more zigzags and maybe some straight lines in there too to show this rocky edge over here. All right, let's go now behind and do these rocky edges that are a little bit further back. So these are a little bit more in the distance, and we're going to start not all the way at the waterfall, a little bit to the right, and more zigzag lines. Same thing over here. We're not going to start right next to the waterfall. I'm going to come about halfway over here on my rocky ledge and do some more zigzags off the page. All right. We are going to add some rocks down lower too, and these are closer to the foreground than these rocks that we drew up here. Again, we're just doing zigzag lines, and they don't have to follow my lines exactly, they can be your lines. So let's do one rocky outcropping on the left, like that, and leave some space at the bottom for our pond. And then let's do another rocky outcropping coming towards the waterfall from the other side. Okay, and let me see if I want maybe a little bit lower there. Okay, I think that looks great. We've got all our rocky edges. We can add some taller rocks back behind here just to show that there's lots of interesting rock formations in this area. And let's add a taller one here. And maybe one more that kind of gets tucked behind. There. All right. So as you can see, my rock formations look very different on this project than they did on my sample, and that's totally fine. Okay. From here, I would like to continue working on our splashing water that's foaming up at the bottom of the waterfall. So we're going to continue with these little bump lines that are like the letter M, and we're just going to continue all the way to the zigzag rocky outcropping here, and then do the same thing on the other side, just continue over to the right. So this one is a lot bigger actually than the one on my sample, and that's fine. And then for the bottom, we're going to make this pond. So at the bottom of the foamy area of the waterfall, let's do a curved line. And then let's continue that curved line off to the right and off to the left. So on this one, my water is smaller. On this one, it goes all the way across the page, and this one, it just is a smaller portion of the pond, and that's totally fine. All right, we're going to add some more details in our rocks, just some more zigzag lines to show that there's rocky parts that we can't totally see because it's nighttime in our picture. So maybe like an upside down W and some zigzags there, and maybe like over here. And I'm going to do the same thing over here on the left side, just some more rocky sections so we can see a little bit of the detail. Okay, that looks great. All right. For the water, let's add some more of these little bump lines to show that there's this big cloud coming out from the waterfall. And then now let's move up to our Big Dipper. We are going to do 7 circles to show this shape of a dipper or a shovel or a plow in the sky. And at different times of the year, this is in different positions. So sometimes it might be sideways, sometimes it might be with the scoop part pointing lower in the sky. It can be in different shapes, but the way that we're going to draw it today is with the handle above the waterfall and then the scoop part above that. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3 circles. They're almost in a straight line, but not exactly perfect. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 circles for this scoop part. And the scoop part is not a perfect square. It's more like a trapezoid. The top of the scoop is longer than the bottom of the scoop, but we're just kind of doing just a basic sketch of this. It does not have to be perfect. we're going to connect each of those stars with a line. These lines are not actually in the night sky, but people draw them in to show the constellation or the shape. So once you add the lines in between, then the Big Dipper becomes more of a picture, more connected. And then around each of these stars, let's do some little rays of light shining out, kind of like little suns. All right, and that is our picture, and I think that looks amazing. We are ready to color now. So I am going to use yellow and some different shades of brown, and then I'm going to use black and gray and kind of a turquoise blue for my waterfall, and then this is blue because I want to do some overlapping colors on my night sky and on my rocks. So the broken crayons I'm going to be using the sides of because that's faster and I like the texture. And it doesn't matter if you use colored pencils or crayons or oil pastels, you can use whatever you have at home that works. Okay, let's start with our stars. I'm going to color inside the circle and also extending outside of the circle just to show that the light is shining out of these stars. Kind of like we did with our project about Tar Beach and Cassie, who was flying through New York City. Okay, and then, oops, you know what? I forgot to put some stars reflecting down here in my pond. So I'm just going to go back with my marker or your pencil and just add some stars. They're going to reflect. It's a different plane, so this is reflecting different. So they don't actually have to make the shape of the Big Dipper because I don't think it would be that clear. But we do want to have some stars reflecting off the water. So same thing, I'm going to do my yellow, coloring in the circle, and then extending outside the circle too. All right, for my waterfall, you just need a blue color, and I love turquoise. It's probably up there. It's one of my favorite colors. I'm going to color in the water. And then I also want to outline some of this cloud mist here at the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of outline these bumps that I did to show that that's water spray or mist. But I'm going to leave the rest of the mist or cloud white. Okay, and let's color in our pond. All right, since it's nighttime in our picture, because we can see the stars, I want to go back over my waterfall and my pond with a black crayon. So I am going to use the side, and I'm just going to add a little light layer of black to show that the water isn't totally lit up. There's some night reflecting there too. Okay. We are ready to do our rocks. I want the rocks that are in the foreground to be the darkest, and as it gets farther back, I'm going to go with lighter shades of brown to show that they're further away. So things that are further away appear lighter to our eyes. So I'm just going to start with an outline of the darkest brown that I could find. If you only have one shade of brown, that's totally fine, but just use a heavier pressure for this front rock, and then lighten up or press more lightly as you get further back. And I'm also going to outline my little rocky pieces that I put as details. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, kind of rocks are so textural that I actually want it not to look too smooth. Okay, let's outline this tall rock here. And this little one that's peeking out. And let's outline this little outcropping of rock as well. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with my medium brown, oops, not that one, and this actually, it says it's gold, but it kind of writes like a light brown. So I'm going to do my medium brown on these, and then I'm going to use my gold up here on the top. Okay, I went and outlined the medium brown in the middle, and then the lighter brown at the top here. Okay, now I am going to switch to my black again, and it's nighttime, so I'm going to use the side of the black, and I'm going to shade in all of these rock formations because it's dark, so you can see a little bit of detail, especially along the edges that are illuminated, but you can't see a ton of detail since it's dark. And I'm using my forefinger and my thumb to hold my crayon sideways, and I'm going right over the tops of the colors that I drew earlier. I'm going to do the same thing on the left side. And I'm fine with going different directions like we've talked about in the past. I think it looks more interesting because, like I said, rocks have so much texture, so many different lines and shapes and directions that you don't want your coloring to look too perfect. All right. Okay, I'm also going to come up here and add black to my sky, but we're going to add another layer of color to the sky as well. So we're going to do 2 layers, and we're going to actually come back and add another layer to our rocks as well. So I'm going to try to go around my yellow stars so I don't dim that light. And I feel like on my sample I'm coloring a little bit lighter with my black, and I like it better. I colored pretty dark on the sample, and it's a little bit maybe too dark, but it's whatever you prefer. All right, as you can see, we can go really quick. Get large spaces. All right. Now we want to differentiate the sky from the rocks, so I'm going to use just a regular blue. Again, I have the paper torn off and it's broken, and I'm going to just press right over my black just to give it a little bit more of depth, because there's the blue and the black kind of working together to show the night sky. Okay, there's my night sky, and I have a gray here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of gray. If you don't have gray, you can skip this step. It's actually really not that important. I'm just going to add a little bit of gray over the top of my black, again to try to add more layers of color, more depth. All right, and there you have it. There is our waterfall landscape with the Big Dipper. I hope you guys had fun, and I will see you soon. Bye.